All right, here, give me 20 seconds. Get everybody engaged. Okay, great. We have, hi, everybody. Moses Ross here, Neighborhood Association Chair. You are at the September 12th general meeting of the Neighborhood Association, and a big hearty welcome to everybody. We are truly a hybrid tonight. As you can see in the audience, we have two guests plus and a student who is here to do a report on the Neighborhood Association, I gather. Is that correct? Oh, for Scout, even better, for Scouts. Okay, so here, we've got that other mic. That's there. What we need to do is when folks want to speak in the audience, I'll have to make sure you get the mic, and I'll just need to speak up louder from where I'm at. Okay. I just need to. Okay. Okay. Right. I'm realizing I have to change my tone here a little bit. I've been a soft talker with the mic here, and Julie's pointed out that I have an audience now in front of me and they need to be able to hear me. So we have an agenda for this meeting. We have a guest speaker starting at 7:15 till 7:30. We have a round of committee updates because we've been very active this summer. Amazingly active this neighborhood association is, and our community events chairs, co-chairs will share with us more about that. Coming up, we have information on some transportation issues that are coming up. Transportation issues in relation to a forum that we're holding, and also a greenway that's being proposed in our neighborhood. Also, we have submitted the work of the bylaws committee to, and they have for the member review, 30-day member review, the proposed revised bylaws of our neighborhood association that are required because of our current new 501c3 status. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Also on the agenda tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about the Hillsdale Community Church proposal. We will not get to those issues until about 8 o'clock. So do I hear any objections to the current agenda as we have it? Are there any additions to it, or are there any objections?
Moses, this is Peter. Hi.
Sure.
I just wondered if there's anything to report by the SRV Community Action Committee. Could we hear a report?
Oh, good point. I'm sure Will has it. Perhaps can give us an update if there's an update from Will.
There's actually no major changes at this point. Just to get it out of the way right now. The Good Neighbor Agreement is still not approved finally, and there have been no major incidents in the village so far. It's been a quiet place to be for quite a while now.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for that update. That's one less thing we have to discuss later on, which gives us more time for other things. The previous minutes, we did not have a meeting in August, a general meeting in August because of the summer. We did have a board meeting. Those minutes and videos are all on the public folder. And if there's any objections to those minutes as documented by video and such, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll consider them available for the general membership. Okay, really quickly here, because it's 7:08 and I need to go to officer reports. This meeting tonight is our general meeting. Yes, we're going to be holding we have a couple motions that the members need to vote on. And when we get to that part in the new business, we'll need to be doing some credentialing. In other words, we're going to need to make sure that everybody that is voting on these new motions are actually members of the association. So what makes you a member of the association? Well, or the neighborhood, you live within the boundaries of the Multnomah neighborhood. You own a business in the Multnomah neighborhood. You own property in the Multnomah neighborhood. You have appealed for a special consideration, to become a member. There's a process for that. So that, in a nutshell, it has to relate. You have to be a member of the organization of the neighborhood to vote. Now, the credentialing we're going to handle, and Will give us this very fine-tuned specifics when we get to the vote. When we do the credentialing, I'll ask that you note in your name like you can put an M, that we have you put an M there as for member. And you can just put that at the very beginning of your name, and that immediately identifies you as someone that is a member, and we don't have to, that'll make your credentialing very easy. So when we get to that point in the meeting, we'll do a credentialing, and we'll have a total count. Right now, it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 members online. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, counting me, but I don't vote, here in person. So 12, 14, 16 members. And so that would be, and Corinne should be here soon. That's true. So we do have a quorum. And if that's maintained when we do the vote, we'll go forward with that. Okay. What time is it? 7:10 on the dot. I love it. Okay, 7:10, officers' reports. As your chair, I have to share this with everybody. Last weekend, we had our Sunday Parkways back here in the village, in the neighborhood. And it was strictly in the neighborhood, I might add. It was beautiful. I was struck by how quiet it was. It was so quiet during the Sunday Parkways because there was no cars competing for the noise of our neighborhood. You know what I mean? So it was just really nice, a nice observation. We had a great crew come and man our booth. We decorated bikes. And it's just another indication of how cool this neighborhood is. I mean, there were a lot of people out there, and it was really neat to see everybody. So that's my report. My vice chair is Beth.
No.
Beth Amansky, do you have anything to report?
No, you're doing such a good job. No sense for me to be doing vice chair things.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have a couple of my other activities later on, just brief ones.
Sure. We'll get to those for sure. Okay, next up is our treasurer. His name is Tad Davis. Tad, are you here?
I am.
Okay, would you like to give a report?
Just one thing, we have taken steps, haven't finished the steps yet, but taking steps to move our funds from the Sweeney account to our brand new association-owned account at Umpqua Bank.
Fantastic. Yeah, once again, this is all part of the transition from us to now being a 501c3 organization. We have our own independent bank account. We're now establishing, with Tad's help, the financial side of it all, so that we're in compliance. So thank you, Tad. Do we what am I correct that once we have all of that together, we can give a full financial report at that next meeting?
That's the goal, yes.
Yes, because we got to get the money from Sweeney back and add it all into everything.
Right.
Okay.
And how much are we expecting to come over from Sweeney?
I haven't looked at that lately. I don't remember. It's a few $100s.
I have to, yeah. I'm on the same page with you on that, Tad. I believe I know for a fact it was under 500. Pretty sure of that. But yeah, so that is good. That is good. And we did receive $6 in donations from Multnomah Days that Will has put in an envelope that I need to deposit. So Tad, maybe heads up, I'm going to put that in the bank.
All right.
Okay. Last but not least, our secretary, Julie Leet, the world traveler. Very good. Okay. Thank you. And thank you all for the work that you've done as officers. I really appreciate the support that you guys have been giving us. Time is it? 7:14. Okay. And Kayla is here. Okay. Our meeting, our guest speaker tonight is scheduled at 7:15, which is right now. So I'm going to go ahead and get her introduced, and she can share with us more information about the Portland Parks and Rec park-related volunteer opportunities. So Kayla, I will give the floor to you. Welcome to the Multnomah neighborhood.
Perfect. Hello, everybody. I will share a little bit about my role, and then some ideas for volunteering, and then kind of just leave it open for questions from you all. So really quickly, Kayla, and my position with Parks is an outreach coordinator for all of the developed parks on the west side of the Willamette River. So that includes Gabriel Park and Spring Garden, which I know are in your area. But I also work with Washington Park, Waterfront Park, all the downtown parks. So pretty much a park that has like a recreational facility, is open to the public, has like basketball courts, tennis courts, soccer fields, etc. And I work really closely with our horticulturalists and botanic specialists that host volunteer work parties in the park. I provide administrative support to our zone supervisors who manage the park daily operations. So my work group consists of like the park techs that you see in the park, emptying the trash, cleaning the restroom. So I work closely with everyone that does this basic daily care of all of your guys' parks. I also work really, really closely with all of our friend and partner groups. That could be like, I know there used to be a Friends of Spring Garden Park. I would, if that group was still active, I would be the liaison for them and parks to provide, that communication that often is missing from the city and with the community. So if there's, right now I work with the Friends of South Park Blocks group, for example, and I help navigate internal systems for them. How do they get a permit? How do they host events in the parks, etc. And I also work with other neighborhood associations too on ways that we can collaborate to host either like joint events in the park or ways to increase volunteer opportunities at our variety of different tasks. Is there a way that we could do some sort of like training program so we can teach people in the community how to garden, how to do basic gardening care, etc. So these are just some examples of the work that I do. And for you all, I was hoping to work more collaboratively, think of ideas of way we can engage the community around the parks in your area. And how can I help, from a park standpoint for you all, whether that's asking questions, helping you all with permitting, other city internal systems, etc. And so specifically at Spring Garden Park, our horticulturalist name is Heike, and she is eager to start hosting more events out in the park. And that's kind of where you all come in. So before I get started on sharing some of my ideas and thoughts, I wanted to leave it open for some questions or any clarification I could provide.
Well, what's really nice, Kayla, is that you mentioned the work of the Friends of Spring Garden Park. And the first time I was chair back in 2010, that was when it was really starting to kick off. Lori Howell was the point person there. And it was really neat to watch them help to shepherd this new park into existence, as well as make it a park that fit the neighborhood. So I guess what my point is that we have an opportunity with the neighborhood to create, if we wanted to target a park for support or for anything, that's where you come in. We could create a Friends of X Park and liaison with you and get it to develop a game plan. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that is 100% what we can do. And I would help, we would work on, an agreement that would likely not be like a legally binding agreement. It would just be kind of like an MOU or a permit, a stewardship permit. And it would just be, whoever is involved with the leadership of the group would work with me and our zone supervisors and managers to discuss outcomes and roles and, different things that everyone wants to do. And then it could really, most of our friends groups turn out to eventually go down the nonprofit route where they become certified with the state. And then once you do that, then you can do fundraising. It kind of opens it up. But really the agreement is just saying, hey, us as a city and you as community members are really agreeing to help care for X park. So I could definitely help navigate what that looks like for you all if that was of interest.
Right on. I noticed Marita has her hand up, and I also noticed that Julie has her hand up. So Marita, you first, and then we'll go to Julie.
Thank you, Moses. I don't live in the Multnomah neighborhood, but I'm involved with Friends of Gabriel Park, which has been around for a while. And we were actually working with Maria, the previous Multnomah chair, to sponsor Friends of Gabriel. But I see it was noted in the chat, there isn't a Parks Committee representative from Multnomah. And then things happened like the pandemic and Sweeney's issues. And so we were never able to get sponsorship and move forward. The group hasn't been very active, but we've been working mostly in the natural area of the park rather than the developed area. We've done stewardship events with Mary Verrilli and, pulling ivy and that kind of thing. We have a stewardship agreement that we need to renew whenever they find the new replacement for Mary Verrilli. But we are interested in keeping abreast of things.
You accidentally muted yourself.
How did that happen? Thank you. We would just love to have more involvement and grow the Friends of Gabriel Park group. And Kayla, I'm wondering who is now the maintenance supervisor for West Side, because I think that person left again.
Yeah. It's Craig. Craig Smith is the new supervisor for the Southwest
Thank
zone,
you.
which also supervises Spring Garden.
Thank you.
And yeah, I know that they are in the hiring process for Mary's position. So I think that they're aiming to have a new person on by the end of the year. And I'm pretty much going to wait until that happens so that I can work with the new person to work with the Friends of Gabriel Park, since that's a unique, it's what we call a hybrid property. So it crosses different jurisdictions on who manages what, which I'm sure you're aware of. So yes, when the new person's on and they're kind of settled, my plan was to hopefully connect with them and then connect with you all and see how we can develop parks and the natural area there.
Great, thank you.
This is Julie. Hey, Kayla. I live near Spring Garden, and I noticed some QR codes pop up within the last few weeks saying Friends of Spring Garden Park, get more information here kind of thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? Or I don't know if Stefan or other people on the call know what I'm talking about. There's these little.
I don't know what that is.
I
saw Kayla signs in the park, but I didn't see anything of Friends of Spring Garden.
Which one did you see?
I saw something from the Parks Department saying it's a advertisement for what Kayla's talking about now. Just go to sign up to become a volunteer, sort of informational, small.
The white and black thing. That's it.
Lawn sign.
Yeah, I apologize. So Kayla, what are your? We're enthusiastic, have time and interest. What programs have you seen other neighborhoods do? Let's get our creative juices flowing.
Yeah, no, so I've gotten a lot of interest. So now what I'm doing with the signs is I'm kind of getting everyone on their paperwork, and then once the actual paperwork's filled out, then Heike will start hosting kind of like an orientation or a training or a meet and greet in the park. And ideally, like in a perfect world, and how some other groups operate is we do a lot of this like training and education, in the beginning stages of the relationship. And then it can be kind of on your own schedule. Or, you know, so we can have different types of volunteering. It could be these where, say, you know, Pam's like, I'm coming in, I want to come every Thursday at 8 o'clock for an hour, and I'm going to do work that Pam is assigned that she can do, right? Like those types of opportunities exist. It also can be where if we want to host like a family friendly event on like a Saturday for like 2 hours. It could be a reoccurring one too, where it's like every first Thursday of the month, we do like a community event in the park. So it's really kind of like up to us all, up to the capacity of you and like what your thoughts are, like since you all live, you know, right there. So that's kind of like a big roundabout answer, but we really have flexibility to kind of make it however we want. And I know for Heike and other horticulturalists who work with groups, it is a lot easier to schedule time and space if it is a reoccurring thing. You know, for example, I help every Tuesday morning at Pittock Mansion is a volunteer event. Every Tuesday morning, rain or sunshine, like, so people come every Tuesday for that. That's how some groups like to do it. Our friends at South Park Blocks, they're kind of self-managed. So they have like, they're like people that just pull weeds or people who deadhead the roses, and they make their own schedule. And we just put all of that into an agreement. And they just work on their own. They show up at the park by themselves. They dispose of their, you know, debris and the area that we tell them to. So it's really just like kind of up to all of like us. If you do want to do a Friends of Spring Garden group, that's where we would have all those conversations. But I do plan on working with you all to maybe host 1 or 2 events that are maybe bigger at the beginning of the year, to invite everyone out into the park when the weather turns to be better. But until then, it would be more of trying to host, like get Heike's schedule and be like, okay, we're going to host like a Friday event and send a mass email out to you all and to everyone inviting you to join us.
Great. Okay, let's go to Will. Will, I see your hand up.
Sure. I have a question that's not really directly for us, but there's a Native American agreement with the Parks Bureau to waive parks fees for Native American events. And I'm not sure where that is in this process. There's some question as to whether that extends to all events or just exactly what's happening, but I know it's been a pretty important thing, the Native American community. And Laura Campos, who is not here tonight, is a major issue for her in the Southwest. Do you know if there's anything about that? It's not the sort of thing we do enjoying the parks. Let me, first of all, preface that by saying I really support the Parks Bureau and what you guys are doing, especially things like the Multnomah Arts Center, which is a park, and the Community Music Center, which is a park, that are really broaden the definition of the resources for the community. But this particular issue for the Native American community, waiving fees, has been a fairly difficult one. You know anything about that?
I do, yeah. It's actually it's called Resolution 37528AA. And it was put on pause during COVID, because we're trying, as a city, are trying to come up with fee waiver and land acknowledgement and really building our relationship with our Indigenous communities. And they just started that process again. So we're trying to move forward and really put it into like law and writing and like put it down. And we have some kinks to work out, and that work is being done by not the Parks Bureau, just like our a different bureau within the city. But if a community event is being hosted by an Indigenous community member, they can go to our tribal relations team within the city of Portland and request a fee waiver. And so then the tribal relations employee then will pretty much make an application with the person and then submit that permit application back to the Parks Bureau saying this is eligible for any fees being waived. So as long as the community member or the community group that are a part of our Indigenous communities are going through that route, then they should be getting fees waived for their events.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I'll pass, Laura may already know that by now, but I'll pass it on to her. Thank you.
Yeah.
May I say, Beth here, if I may ask? I don't know if you're the right person to ask, but could you clarify the new rules for the parking lot at the MAC?
I do not work with the MAC at all. That's managed by our recreation team, but I could figure that out and send it off to you all.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay. I'll make a note.
I think before we wrap up here, I just want to say thank you, Kayla, for coming, because it was the Community Events Committee that invited you to come just introduce yourself. And this is, from what I understand, also a new role that you're working in as this outreach coordinator position. So it's just helpful for us to know that it exists and begin to get in contact. And maybe we could just plug a couple things, just the idea that, like, if there's interest in anybody kind of jumpstarting the old Friends of Spring Garden group, that could be like kind of the ideal way to go at some of these things. Or if somebody wanted to volunteer for the Parks Committee within the Neighborhood Association, that's a vacant spot that's also available. But just want to also offer that from the Events Committee, I'm available to kind of be the contact person in the interim. If anybody else comes in and is really wanting to jump on parks stuff, I can work with Kayla and be kind of the point liaison person to get this spring garden idea going, set up some kind of schedule, and just get some kind of recurring volunteer opportunity just out there and happening. So I think from what we've talked about just a couple months ago, that sounds like maybe one of the next steps is try to get one of those events kind of up and going and get paperwork out to people. And there's actually a sign up on the website. Kayla, do you think that's something that would be helpful to share here, maybe in the chat, or the link to
yeah.
folks can go?
Yeah, you can look it up real quick.
Okay, and while we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and answer Peter's question. And it's 7:31, and I do need to go on to the committee reports here soon. Peter? You may be on mute, Peter. Yep, you are.
There we go. Thanks for being here, Kayla. I was glad to hear Marita bring up info about the Friends of Gabriel Park, and that that group is concentrating on the natural areas rather than developed areas. But I wanted to make sure, Kayla, that that you have an ally in the Adopt One Block, and the Adopt One Block. You know about that organization?
It's familiar. I'm not super versed on it though.
Yeah. Well, it's basically a volunteer program where individuals can pick one block and pledge to keep that litter free for a year or for as long as they wish. But the Adopt One Block map does show that the block for Gabriel Park, which is a big block, admittedly, does have someone who's an Adopt One Block ambassador, but they are apparently not a very conscientious ambassador. And you may be able to work with Adopt One Block to get as another avenue for getting projects going, or people who are interested in supporting the parks. Anyway,
That's a great connection. I made a note here to connect with them.
because they are working with the same interests as you. So anyway, thank you all.
Thank you, Peter, for that question. Peter, or pardon me, Kayla, I'm appreciative for you taking some time and explaining all of this to everybody. And hopefully we've been able to light a fire under one or two folks here, and we can get our park committee up and running. But more importantly, just as important, I should say, I love the idea of revitalizing the Friends of Spring Garden Park and any other, and maybe there's another one I've been thinking of too, and I'll have to hit you up separate on that one, Kayla. So thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
of course.
you.
Well, thanks for having me. And shoot me an email if you have any questions.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
looking forward to getting this going. So thanks again.
Awesome.
Good. Bye.
Appreciate you, Kayla. And I get the feeling Pam will follow, make sure that this, I appreciate where you're coming from on this, Pam. I'm glad that you're kind of helping to shepherd that through, because
Mhm.
it's a responsibility of the neighborhood association. I mean, it's a role that the neighborhood association can certainly play.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. It'll be great.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, more on that, more to come. All right, let's hop into committee reports. Pam, you're still back up. Can't leave.
Okay, unmute myself.
Okay, community events now.
Gotcha.
report.
And we're gonna be, I know we're gonna be making these committee reports short tonight, so I'm just gonna get going. So first on our list here, we have just the idea of there's been a number of collaborations between the neighborhood association and the business association. So at namely, I think this is about the booth that we had at Multnomah Days, kind of sharing the space and collaborating on the setup. And then also again at the Sunday Parkways. And I think just from the impression that I got, that all went smoothly. We had kind of a sign up system and supplies that people could sign up to bring. And then we had people attending the booth on a schedule that you could sign up for throughout the day. Lots of visitors. And I will say one thing for Sunday Parkways, just from the perspective of Corinne and I, the co-chairs of the community events committee. We hadn't had the chance to attend a Sunday Parkways event previously. And so I think we were both really just blown away sort of at the scale and like how elaborate it was, and just the number of different features of what was there. And especially even just the number of volunteers. It was really something, and it was great. And I don't know what their process is of deciding where to have it in future years, but we just thought this was a great route, so it would be great if they want to come back to the same spot. Hi, Corinne.
And I'm gonna echo what you're saying, Pam, that it was a huge event. I think bigger than we were expecting. We partnered with Peabody a bit on it, but I'm going to drop our email address in chat, and you can also reach out to Stefan in transportation. But if anybody has any feedback about Sunday Parkways that you'd like to share to Peabody, I think we would like to advocate for it coming back to the Southwest for next year. But I know Peabody would be open to suggestions and feedback about how it went in the neighborhood this year. So I'll drop our email address in chat for that. And then just to piggyback that on about Multnomah Days and the parade, if anybody has any feedback about that we can take away for next year, we're also open to hearing that. Go ahead, Pam.
Corinne,
thanks for letting me chime in.
Sure, yeah.
May I just make one comment about the Sunday Parkways and the Business Association collaboration?
Yeah.
Peter, the head of the Business Association, Peter, the JP General Store owner, and Barb Cantonwine, the owner of Healthy Pets Northwest, we opened up the booth, right? And he made it a point to tell me about how excited he is, and Barb made it a point, she's long-term here in the neighborhood, that this is the first time in her memory that the neighborhood association has been partnering with the business association so like this. And I think we have so much opportunity there, so much opportunity to do good things.
And we continue to partner with them, and it's grown. The business association reached out to the M&A for their first Earth Day event a couple of years ago and asked for partnership, and we've continued to find different ways that we can support the neighborhood. So I dropped a community events email address in the chat. If anybody else has any other suggestions on how we can, other ideas on what we can do to support the neighborhood with our connection with the business association or in other events, we'd be happy to hear about those and to collaborate with people on bringing some other things to life. I don't know where we're at on this, Pam, but Pam and I just finished our small grant report and submitted it to Civic Life to finish up the street art project. So that project is fully wrapped up and done, and we see it as a successful event and want to look forward to what else we can do next. Amanda, did you have your hand up? Did you have a question, or did I catch that wrong? No. Got it.
I think the last thing we wanted to share or like report on is just kind of looking ahead to the next upcoming, I guess, holiday, which is Halloween.
Before you do that, Pam, I'm going to jump ahead of you on the calendar because I was just looking ahead on what we have, and I want to make a plug for the Beaver Festival that's coming up on September 23rd at the Multnomah Arts Center. So just want to plug that date in before we start to talk about October. But the Beaver Festival is happening on Saturday, September 23rd from noon to 3 p.m. at the Multnomah Arts Center in the back courtyard. The festival is an Indigenous-led festival that hopes to raise awareness about non-human-led restoration, share education about traditional ecology knowledge, and create a safe and welcoming means to increase access to nature for Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So there's information on our website about that, but I want to make sure we got the word about that. We are happy to support the event. It's not our event, but it's on the calendar and it's happening in the community. So I just wanted to put that out there for us. And then go ahead,
We'll
Pam.
make sure
Oh, and then Amanda does have her hand up. Amanda, go ahead.
Thank you. I am old and I cannot figure out how to save the chat. So Moses, could you please send out an email? There was a link that Kayla sent and there was the email address that Corinne sent. That if you could send that out by email tomorrow, that would be very helpful for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. And then Beth, did you have something you wanted to jump in on?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we'll make sure to publicize the Beaver Festival in the Civic Opportunities Bulletin. That's
good call. Yeah. That sounds great. It's on our website as well, but yes, thank you, Beth, for that reminder.
And then I'll just give a quick update about what our events committee has in the works for Halloween. We initially explored the idea of doing like a larger network of road closures to provide a Halloween car-free trick-or-treating event in the neighborhoods. And we've decided to table that idea for this year. We're not doing a larger community event permit. Instead, what we're doing is we've made a website here, which is what I'm showing. And we've made some little flyers that we're putting up kind of around town and just handing out, just simply giving some instructions about how neighbors can use the existing PBOT Healthy Blocks, or I guess, sorry, block party permit, a free permit to just close their street for a few hours to increase pedestrian safety, for trick-or-treating for a few hours following Halloween trick-or-treating in the village. So we're offering instructions that kind of give advice about how to time it so that it's dovetailing nicely with the already existing very popular event of trick-or-treating at the businesses in the village, which ends at 5:30. So we're just suggesting that if anybody wants to do this on their street, they can kind of take the instructions and then head to the PBOT website and run with it. And we've got a decorative Halloween flyer that they can use for their event if they'd like to use our template. And we have this website just available as a resource to kind of promote the idea of using a block party permit for Halloween in Multnomah neighborhood, or actually anywhere in Portland. And I think that concludes our committee update for now.
Okay.
And I just wanted to offer one more quick and say, if anybody wants to apply for that and needs a little bit extra support, that Pam and I are available to answer questions or to help you find resources for closing the block, flyers for sending out, and then helping you figure out how to set up the barricades and street closure infrastructure that's needed for it.
This is Julie. I just wanted to say that I accidentally happened upon one of those things wherever, and I was like, what's this thing? And I clicked on it, and it was so easy and so positive. And the way that you even gave, the artwork to print out the little flyers, it's just, you just made it so easy. So thank you for doing that. It was very creative.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for the feedback. It was quite easy to set up that website, and just simply we're just promoting the idea. It's not a lot of work for us, but it would be really cool if other people enjoy kind of planning that. And, people love it. We've done it on our street for a few years. So
I'll chime in and do one more thing. Sorry, Moses, I keep, in the past we've made a map. So I think there were 3 streets that closed last year for cars free trick-or-treating that piggybacked on the village. And if you'd like to add to the closure, then we could create kind of a community-based map so people know where they can walk safely without cars trick-or-treating. That's all I've got to say.
That's a great idea. Oh, I just wanted to make sure that we put onto Beth Omansky's radar for the Civic Opportunity newsletter that we put the car in there, the car-free Halloween in there as well. We're already putting, yeah. So now we've got 2 from them. So
thank you.
Yeah, and and I'm Pam, if you could do me a big fave, when
Sure.
well, no, I can just go to your website and get the information. That's why you created the website. Never mind. Okay, very good stuff. Okay, is that it for the community events committee?
I believe so.
Thank you both. Thank you very sincerely. Thank you both. Okay, next up, transportation. Do I see Stefan here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Moses.
Hi.
Howdy,
we've got
everybody.
I've got you down
I'll,
for two topics: the transportation forum and the street improvement project on Troy.
Okay, let's see here if I can turn my video on, say hi to everybody. Okay, so yes, October 5th, 6 to 8 p.m., we're having the transportation open house at the Multnomah Arts Center, the dance studio. Right now, we got to get the word out, and if anybody's interested in helping out, please get in touch with me. I do need to pull together some volunteers to help with some things of day of. So that's one topic. I think the word is getting out. I'm telling people about it and they're like, oh, I already heard about it. So that's a good sign. And then regarding Troy Canby Greenway, that's a non-redundant route that connects Capitol Hill and A Park to Multnomah Village. And we'll be getting a greenway treatment. And one of the best ways to do a treatment there, in my opinion, is to use traffic diverters. You'll see those in Northeast and Southeast, where they take a road that's being used for cut through traffic and they basically block cars from going down it, but they let pedestrians and bikers go down it. And it usually just reduces the amount of traffic on the street so that it can be a more enjoyable walking or biking experience and safer. I did have a very quick chat with some PBOT people, Steve Sigathy, today, and said, "Are diverters off the table?" He said, "No, they're not. And we're early enough in the project to get them out there." So
no kidding.
My marching orders from him were set up a meeting with Ashley and go through that, and then we'll have to somehow get community buy-in. He said the people that can shoot down traffic diverters are the people that live on like the next adjacent block that would be receiving additional cars. And if those people give the thumbs up to traffic diverters, then it can happen. So we'll see. So that's the news on that front. And even though I can't make those meetings, Moses, hopefully you can. I told Steve I couldn't. So he said, well, just set up a meeting with Ashley, just one-on-one, and talk it through with her. So something for us to discuss going forward.
And just as a FYI, I'm attending the Zoom meeting tomorrow for that, and I'll report back to you and let you know what is said there. But that is fantastic news that diverters are not are on the table, still on the table. That is fantastic news.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, my bias is showing here in the fact that I live on Southwest Troy, and we're talking about Southwest Troy, and it's just it's another example of somebody getting coming to the neighborhood association and wanting to do something about it. But now
thank you, whoever's sharing.
Now it's in my backyard. Here. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
All right, cool. I see Peter has his hand up. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, Stefan, a quick question about the October 5th forum.
Yeah.
Will PBOT be bringing ideas for sort of community reaction, or is this sort of an open brainstorming session?
This is open brainstorming session. And the key goals are that there's going to be a Fixing Our Streets 3 that's going to be voted on in May 2024. And by December, City Council will be approving the list of projects that will be associated with fixing our streets 3. And Multnomah should be able to get a project in that. And getting the best project for us that has the most community support will be what PBOT wants to know from us. So hopefully we take all that input and say, okay, 80% of people wanted something here, and then there's another 30 projects that 20% of the people said they want. So here they are. And so that's the key point. So to find that one project or a couple of little projects to go with it that we can propose for them to put in fixing our streets 3. And then the other thing is that there's going to be a January, February 2025 transportation package coming from our state legislators. And that's currently getting drafted and worked on, so that when the next long session comes up in the beginning of 2025, there'll be hopefully lots of transportation funding getting approved all over the state, and hopefully we can get something out of that.
Great, thank you.
And I think if there's whatever ways you think you know how to share the information about that transportation forum, that would be great. If you have community list, if you have people in your neighborhood and you create like an email list. I know that there was one that was created here around the Spring Garden area. So if you have community list or contacts, we just need help getting the word out. The more people we can get to go to the transportation forum, the stronger our ask to PBOT and our legislative representatives are going to be.
Fantastic. Hey, a quick question for you, Stefan. Beth, actually, you've been waiting. Go ahead.
Yeah. Do you know if somebody from TriMet has agreed to attend?
So right now, no. And same with ODOT and PBOT. I think that they're very supportive of this, but they don't necessarily have a way for this forum to actually cause any change. And what they don't want to do is show up, and then we tell them all this stuff, and then they don't do anything because they're all broke. So they're a little hesitant. There's some people that live in Multnomah or the greater Multnomah area that work for ODOT that I've invited, and they said that they'll come as long as I don't tell people they work for ODOT. So because they need to be careful, they want to make sure that they don't create an expectation of them coming to us and saying, "What do you want?" Because right now, they can't really deliver. So it's more of like an internal thing, and then we'll be giving hopefully we'll be able to put together some sort of report and have some sort of data that can then be shared with PBOT and TriMet and ODOT and JPAC and whoever else we might want to send it to.
Maybe if there were maps, if you could put up maps somewhere where, I know you're having maps at this event.
Yes.
A map of the bus routes that go through the village so that people could mark where they might want stops or need something.
Okay, yeah.
We have the laminated map that Peter created that we used at Multnomah Days, and we asked people to put a sticker where they live.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe we could use something like that to show they put as a map for where they feel a transportation project needs to be looked at.
Yeah, I hope to have a few more of those too, Moses, that are sort of zoomed in on maybe just the village, and another one zoomed in on that goes along Barber as a for instance, and maybe even one that's sort of like North Multnomah between Hoot Owl and Gabriel Park, something like that.
And I'm really happy to hear you say that you're dividing it up like that, because there are three distinct issues happening here and circumstances here. You've got Barber. Yeah. So that's perfect from my point of view. I want to point out also, wrap up by also mentioning to some of the folks that are here in the, at the meeting that, that have an interest in California Street.
Oh yeah.
Perhaps California Street needs to be, the transportation forum is going to be an awesome place to bring attention to the California Street issue. It's not going to be the solution, but at least we can get it and note it and get it into the reports, right?
And you know what? I wonder if maybe Moses, if you can connect me via email with some of the people, some of sort of the California Street interested parties, and maybe we can figure out a time to meet over there at like 4:30 or 6 o'clock or something like that, and just do a quick walk.
I agree 110%. And also it relates to the work group that I'm going to carry that over, hold that thought until I introduce the work group. And that will be one of the tasks of the work group, will be to go and do a site visit like that.
Fantastic.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. Let's see. We have 3 committee reports left: Equity, Public Safety, and then Bylaws, the Bylaw Ad Hoc Committee. It is 7:55 right now, and we still have a good 30 to 45 minutes of new business to take care of. So I just say that to set the expectations here. So Will, you're up.
Okay, well, basically it can be very brief. The Equity Committee's relationship with SWEC, Southwest Equity Coalition, is pretty strong. I started out with saying something at a meeting that got some people sideways, but that's been straightened out. And what we're doing now is using SWEC as a way to build our own equity in a more direct way. If you looked at the Multnomah Messenger this month, there was a link to the equity statements for SWEC, which are pretty direct. They're focused on racial equity, and they laid out some of the major issues. Right now, SWEC is kind of on hold because the Southwest Light Rail project is on hold. And Stefan, have you had any word on reintroducing the Southwest Light Rail?
So that is in a permanent holding pattern. I have heard a number of people express positive comments that perhaps the state 2025 bill could unlock that. But I think a lot of that optimism was intertwined with the a new funding source, aka tolling, which is apparently now on the ropes politically. And so my guess is if tolling can't get put on Oregon roads, then I think it's going to be another half a decade, if not longer, after 2025 that we're looking at potentially that getting unlocked. Unfortunately.
Okay.
It's my current take.
Okay, well, basically SWEC will meet again this month, and there is a multicultural fair on Saturday, October 7th, and I'll get the information to Pam and Corinne about what's going on with it and how it's happening. It's a big deal. They asked us, where do we get our security? And we say, what security? Where do we get our tents? Because they're looking at dozens of tents. So this is a pretty big deal. October the 7th, Multicultural Fair, sponsored by SWEC, specifically Hockey, which is a Somali support organization. And we will also be recruiting with SWEC's help for people in Multnomah neighborhood who might be immigrants and refugees, people of color, who could be on our board and be invited to our membership as an ongoing operation, so that essentially we are a neighborhood association that really represents the neighborhood, not just a group of like-minded people who like to meet with each other. That's equity.
Where's the fair on the equity fair on October 7th?
Yeah.
Where?
It's at Holly Park.
it's Holly Park, yeah, Holly Farm Park. Right next to the Capitol Hill Library.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, next up, public safety. Beth?
I'm gonna just defer mine. I don't have anything urgent, but I have a couple of nice things to report, but I will, wait since we're time limited. There's nothing urgent.
Okay, sounds good. And of course, the next month, hopefully, Patrick will be able to align a representative from the police to come in and give a quick report. Those seem to go over really well.
Yeah, they were invited. They're probably busy tonight. I don't
saw that. Yeah.
don't recognize any of the names that we usually get. So if there is an officer at the meeting, please let us know. Otherwise, we'll look forward to seeing you in October.
Right on. Okay, good. Thank you, Patrick. Okay, so let's see. And thank you, Beth, very much. And you and I need to circle back around a little bit later this week, either tomorrow or the next day, about the Civic Opportunity newsletter, and we can discuss what you want to put in there. Okay?
Yep, sure will.
Okay, I know you will. You're very good about that. Okay, good. Next up, bylaws. Tad, I have you down to give your official report to the membership.
Right, thank you. It was 2 months ago that we first presented and posted online the proposed new bylaws for the organization. And we'll be voting on those at the, we're formally announcing that motion to adopt these proposed bylaws tonight. And this is a time to talk about that if anybody is so inclined to. The motion will be on the bylaws as presented. But we've already identified a couple of places where we want to make some changes. And so when it is time to vote next month, we start by discussing and voting on the amendments to the proposed bylaws. Once all of those amendments are agreed upon, then we have a final draft of the bylaws, and we vote yes or no on that. Are there any questions or concerns about the proposed bylaws?
This is Will. I could mention a couple of small changes that I had actually laid out today about the bylaws. This is not a huge thing, but there were two things that what I was looking for is ways that because we're moving from direct democracy, the general membership voting on things as a body, to representative democracy, where the board votes with the advice and consent of advice of the general membership involved in more indirect ways. That has caused some concern with people. I haven't heard a lot of comment. Maybe others that, hey, we're becoming an exclusive in-group that will be dictating to the neighborhood. And that's pejorative, but that's the gist of it is. And so a couple of things came to mind. First of all, having an avenue where members could call a special meeting to object to the board or recall somebody like that. There doesn't seem to be a member special meeting. There's a one time a year the members could speak up as an official body. The second is somewhat related. We're looking like a board meeting, such as it was in the old way, and then have a general meeting which incorporates the board meeting in the new way. That is, it becomes pretty crowded. First of all, we have a lot of time, for speakers and discussion and so on, that if there were something like an executive committee, which is what Sweeney does, which takes care of keeping the nuts and bolts going, to set up the agenda for the main meetings, look ahead at what our priorities are and so on, that would relieve the burden on the general meeting to take on too much work and give a a subgroup. An executive committee, generally speaking, is the officers and maybe an at-large person who does the kind of nuts and bolts work. Those two things I came up with. The general sense is, and I think our current bylaws very nicely do it, that the general membership has a reason to come to meetings or take an active participation in the neighborhood association. And that's where we are. I didn't propose motions at this point. I'm going to bring them up for discussion, or probably bring them over to October with discussion in between. But that's all I've heard. And there was something else that came up, I believe, that there was Peter, you had some information, I believe, on that. There were
early on, when we first circulated the new bylaws, Leah Fisher, who was formerly our liaison at Community and Civic Life, sent some feedback with some very minor changes that I don't think I even need to enumerate here, but some wording changes, a couple of suggestions about ways that we might do some things a little bit differently. But Ted, it sounds like the process is that we will formulate and discuss those amendments in October rather than tonight.
Yeah.
But I also have not heard any other comments.
I did want to ask Tad, did you want to address any of this right now, or do we want to defer this until next month?
A couple of responses to Will. One is he is correct to observe that the proposed bylaws don't give members the opportunity to call for a special meeting, and that is by design. They can persuade board members and the board chair to call a special meeting if necessary.
Okay.
And yeah, I could certainly see the possibility. Tonight's meeting is an example of a very packed agenda, and the board may decide that it wants more meetings than once a month, but it can call extra meetings. That is within the proposed bylaws. The board can have all extra meetings as necessary.
What I was proposing was not special meetings, but a regular meeting of a subset of the board, of the officers, essentially. But go ahead. We won't need to discuss it any further.
That's not a bad idea, but it doesn't need to be in the bylaws. That's something that the board, that the officers can work out themselves.
Okay.
Outside of the bylaws.
That's right. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, I see Patrick's hand up.
Yeah, first clarification, are we voting on a motion to move the proposed bylaws to October? Is that what we're voting on tonight?
Good question. Actually, what we are voting on
Trying to
tonight,
approve the bylaws proposal?
No. Actually, tonight's purpose is to formally introduce them with the 30-day notice.
Yeah.
Right. To allow for the members to to have the 30 days to consider the proposed bylaws in preparation for a vote next month's general meeting.
Thanks for that. Yeah, I agree with the sentiment that Will has expressed. I think I expressed this last meeting a couple of months ago that, I would hate to see the de-democratization of our association, given that there are thousands literally of residents within our boundaries. And I would hate for this group to become just an echo chamber where real alternatives aren't given serious consideration. It takes a lot to get people, it takes huge issues to get people to rally and attend a meeting. I think the SRV was the last one where we had 100 and some odd attendees on Zoom. So I don't want to, I love the folks that are at the meeting tonight, but I don't want to see this simply as the same 12 people every month, making the decisions to that end.
By the way, go ahead with that. Yes. Could I get a taco salad, please?
And what else?
And does that come with ground beef?
It comes with chicken. We get upgraded,
Okay.
updated,
Somebody
you know,
needs to
get
do
upgrade for ground beef.
Yeah, can I do that, please?
And what else?
Okay, thank you, Stefan. So to that end, and I'll finish quickly here. To that end, two operational things that would be very important. One is to try to, or three things. One is to try to incorporate some of this ability of the general membership to have more operational say. The second would be for us to look at how we're communicating with the neighborhood. What efforts are being made right now or the next 30 days to truly not just passively engage the neighborhood, but to actively get people to show up for a vote, because their lives will be affected by what we decide on at these meetings. And I can give you 10 examples. So we need to actively reach out, not simply just the listserv, the emails go out, you know, flyers, signs in the neighborhood, dropping things off at businesses, posting things just like we did for Multnomah Days and for the street painting. We need to get people's butts out of the chairs and to this meeting so that we can really say we've engaged with the community, and the approval of the bylaws and the approval of the following month, the approval of the people on the board are truly representative. And the last thing I would strongly recommend is figure out a better on-site or in-person venue than the church. I think the church is kind to let us meet in their lobby, but it is not conducive to a big meeting at all. I'll be very frank. And when we used to meet at the art center, boy, that really felt like a neighborhood meeting. It really felt like an engaged community meeting where people showed up and they looked at each other face to face. And I can't remember a meeting I ever went to that there was fewer than 30 or 40 people, sometimes more. But that's a good thing. That's what we want. And, you know, we've tried this hybrid thing with the church lobby, and frankly, I'm personally not satisfied with it. I think we could do a lot better. And that means, again, getting people physically to a meeting as, frankly, our primary mode of meeting, and not just on Zoom. I think people have had it up to here with Zoom. I think the COVID pandemic is fizzled, and I think we need to get back to face-to-face, in-person meetings with people. And there I'll stop. And
All right, right on, Patrick.
And maybe I can talk with Will offline to formulate a one or two motions that would be appropriate for October. So,
if I may interject, please, I have very passionate about this response here.
Go ahead, Beth.
Moses?
Yeah, go ahead.
The importance of a hybrid meeting is that it allows for people who cannot get out of their house or who have transportation issues or who aren't well can participate in the meeting. And I strongly urge us to continue to have hybrid meetings, no matter where the in-person part is held.
I agree with you, Beth. I wasn't suggesting not a hybrid meeting. I'm just saying shift our focus and our emphasis to a true community town hall kind of format. And people can zoom in to that. I know sometimes it's easier for everybody, whether they have a disability or not, or childcare issues or not, to show up on Zoom. But people want to meet with each other and meet in person, and not just meet, but socialize, I think. And I think we need to have a stronger presence physically in the neighborhood.
Okay, I need to take back control of this meeting, please, because we're 15 minutes behind now. Patrick, I appreciate where you're coming from, and you make some very valid points. You know, I would personally like to see us get back over there at the Multnomah Arts Center too, by the way. I think we can work towards that and feel good about that. I think the hybrid, I mean, just my own personal thought, for what it's worth, I think the hybrid certainly serves a purpose, and I think we should continue to do that, but not have it as our main source. We need to encourage more in-person meetings. And I do agree with you that we've lost that sense of it's contributed to that loss of that sense of loss of community. So yeah, I hear you, dude. Okay, let's get to our new business. And I think Tad has wrapped up. He's explained the situation when it comes to the bylaws being introduced. Oh, yes. Oh, pardon me, Amanda. I didn't see your hand up. Go ahead.
So Patrick, if you're willing to help do the flyering and the notification to people, that would be fantastic. I agree with Beth. You know, it's dark outside. I can't drive in the dark. So, and we all know how terrible the 44 bus is. So if it's only primarily in person, I'm probably not going to be able to attend as I have. The change to the director-led board is required by Oregon nonprofit corporation law. So West Portland Park, where I live, near PCC Sylvania, went to the proposed structure in 2018. We still have dozens of people show up whenever there's something that is a hot issue, like the Safe Rest Village. In my neighborhood right now, it's the changing 8 acres of grass at Jackson Middle School to plastic. People come and then they go away again. They don't engage in the ongoing work. And just tonight, I've seen a couple of the members here tonight had their children on the video with them. So I think it's really important to be as inclusive as we can. And that's kind of the aim of the new bylaws, is to make it as inclusive as possible. Thanks, Moses.
Also, we're hoping that more people will be able to run for the board. I don't think that's been brought up yet tonight.
That is very true. You know, that's one unique factor of the new bylaws that you'll see, is that we've expanded the opportunity for board directors, and with that whole, you know, with the concept that if a member really wants to make a commitment to the, you know, they can be a board member and establish that policy. We're not shutting them out. So anywho, we'll talk more about this. We've got 30 days and there's going to be some good discussion on it. Okay, so next, new business. We have 3 things that we're talking about with new business. First off, I want to address this right now so that we can just get it, so that we can share this info. Okay, so as folks may know, many people know on the call already, the Hillsdale Community Church has started to consider a micro village project on their property. It's being referred to as the Hillsdale Hope Village. Now, it's in its very, very, very preliminary stages. It's nothing. It's months away from anything being permitted, let alone shovel ready. And there has been a challenge in getting information and communication between residents and the church. So the neighborhood association has stepped. I've spoken with the pastor at the church. I've spoken with adjacent property owners. I've spoken with the local police that patrol around here on California Street. I plan to be speaking with the folks over there at Stevens Creek Crossing. And what I would like to do, the first step that we at the neighborhood association can do to help in this situation is I have formally created a work group for the Hillsdale Hope Project, comprised of folks that are directly that are stakeholders in this. And a stakeholder, as I define it, is an adjacent property owner within 2 blocks of a block and a half of the church, representatives from the church so that they can give their perspective, and then representatives from the neighborhood association, like myself and others that have the time and want to participate. The purpose of this work group that I have formed is to help us develop a game plan and to create and to have clear communication that we can in turn get out to other folks that are interested in this project. I think we've had a real, there were flyers that were put up at Sunday Parkways that were anti-SRV. And they were telling everybody to come to a meeting that's on the 21st that was made up specifically for those adjacent property owners to learn from the church, to discuss it with the church. And now it's wide open. And so it's not going to be a very good conversation when we've got to get this under. The work group is meant to be able to get a good game plan and get agreement between the adjacent property owners and with the church and with the neighborhood association and all the folks in the neighborhood as to what the next best steps are, and to make sure that the information that we get out to everyone is accurate. So I've already asked Carolyn Devine, who is one of the neighbors there, to be on, and she has accepted to be on the committee, on the work group, pardon me. I've also asked Charmaine Yasalata, who is working with the church to design this. She has agreed to be on the work group. I will be on the work group, and there will be, I've asked I've asked one other adjacent property owner, and I'm assuming that we'll have the pastor of the church on the work group too. So my goal is to be able to report back to the general membership with this work group with our recommendations on where to go with this, and to do it very quickly, and to be able to get this conversation happening, and to do it in a respectful and transparent way, So that's my plan. And I wanted just to come right out and talk about that. I don't need a vote on this, everybody, but it is new business. There's someone here, Arel. I know that I read your note there. And we weren't going to be able to have a full-on discussion on this. And, I'm about a week and a half into this whole issue personally. And so I've been trying to learn what's going on. And I feel that this work group is the best way for us to be able to start getting good information out to the neighbors, and and start to schedule some good some meetings on this. Okay, so that's that. Yes.
Moses, as for our conversation, I am waiting to hear back from Stevens Creek Crossing. I have a phone call into them.
Awesome. Thank you for that update. We were it was part of the plan to have someone from Stevens Creek on there, because they are just right across the street, and their overflow parking is affecting California Street. And that's one of the other issues, is that because of that parking situation along California Street, it's you start to get abandoned cars. You start to get people living in their cars. You start to get stolen cars dropped off there because it's a drive-through. It's a dead end. And so, I did not know of all of this until I learned about this from the adjacent property owners, that this has been an ongoing thing. And so we're at the neighborhood association are in a place where we can help do something about this. And so that's where the work group comes in. So, yeah, we'll certainly be back in touch with that. And there's no need for a vote on here, but it is new business in that sense that I've created it and we're going forward with it. All right. So
a comment.
Of course.
One is people that are on the work group should declare, in the spirit of transparency, whether they have skin in the game or not.
Yep.
And one of the persons you mentioned is the principal in an architectural firm whose business is to build safe rest villages and tiny home villages. And so it would be good for this group to know that going forward, if they're getting a report from a working group whose membership includes somebody who benefits directly or indirectly from this project going forward. And second of all, I would wonder if general members can have input into this group, since the working group was apparently selected prior to anybody knowing about this in the neighborhood. And maybe some
Well,
people want to be on the work.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying here. Now, you'll remember back when we had the situation with the Multnomah SRV.
I remember
that-
it very well.
Yeah, and we had a work group that we created there, and it was specifically for folks that were stakeholders with the SRV. And so remember, we had, and that's what I'm trying to establish here now.
Stakeholders.
If we need other stakeholders, I think it makes sense, but I'm not going to load the committee up with a whole bunch of folk. I want to make it so that we can get some things done.
I know, but stakeholders is different from a financial interest. And then people they can serve on the committee, but we should know that, and they should be transparent about that.
And I think that comes from the introduction part of when we have our first meeting of the work group, that everybody knows where the playing field is. So I agree with you on that. And I cannot say that that the person that you're speaking of has a financial interest, because I don't think she's being paid for this. She's a parishioner at that church. And once again, that's something that no one understood, and so they make assumptions, and so that's just kind of reinforces the whole idea that we get accurate information here. So that's why we got the work group going. So thank you. Okay, so now let's get back to the votes that we have at hand. We have two things going on here. The first vote that we have is the report of the election committee that I formed, and that the elections committee has created a elections process as per our bylaws, that I have to create an election committee. They determine the procedures for any elections that we have. We have our upcoming elections for officers. And so the elections committee created a process for us to conduct that vote. Let's see, Tad, are you still here, sir?
I am.
Wonderful. Tad, can you give me a quick 30-second or summary of the election process, and then we can answer any questions, have some discussion.
No, will do. I'm going to start with the motion itself. The MNA Elections Committee moves to adopt the following elections process for the 2023 elections for the 2023 elections. So that whole document is what we're asking for approval on. Most of this is pretty obvious. That is, there will be nominations starting tonight. And then there is voting. The big difference this year over previous years is that we're going to be voting on lots of directors who aren't officers, or that is electing directors who won't be officers, as well as the officers themselves. That changes the form of the ballot and how we treat it. Also, you'll see on this document that we've found it, we were kind of surprised ourselves at the need to talk about different formats for the ballot itself. A paper ballot, of course, for those people who are present, such as those in the room right now, and electronic ballot, as Will has done many times for those attending by Zoom, a PDF form, a fillable PDF form for those who have special needs, and finally the possibility of a voice vote if by chance there is only one nominee for each of the 4 offices. Then we can have a voice vote for one voice vote for all 4 positions as a slate. Any questions about this election process?
Does anybody have a pro or a con comment on the motion? Okay. Well, hearing none.
Hold on.
Do I have?
Question.
Peter.
Is
Yes,
it
sir.
could you possibly share a digital copy of this on the screen?
Well, that was a showstopper.
Well, oh shoot, here, wait a second, I gotta.
And Tad, just to clarify again, this is to start a 30-day review and comment period. Is that what this vote is on?
No, this has nothing to do with the bylaws. This is for next month's election of board
right.
members only, both officers and non-officers.
All right, thank you for the clarification.
If you like, I have the motion in form. I could share my screen if you're looking for a place to share, Moses. Oh, you've got it already. Good.
And so what you see on the screen, the top of the document, which is off the screen right now, is quoting the current bylaws. And of course, we have to vote since they are the current bylaws. That's what we have to comply with.
Okay. Does anyone else have any thoughts or questions about the motion?
Not about the motion, but we do need to take attendance or credential the members before
I
we
agree. Yeah, I agree. What we got, okay, so we are at a point where we do have the vote of an approval. A yes vote would be to adopt this election process. A no vote would be to not adopt it, and then we'll have to start over again. So let's see here. I'm going to unsave my screen here so I can see what's going on. Okay, we have. Okay, Will, it's in your court. Go for it. Please explain. For credentialing, please.
Well, basically what we need to do is make sure we've got enough members, but more important, we need to take attendance at the meeting. It's not just a matter of having a quorum, which we probably do. So, and we have a hybrid meeting, so there's two ways of counting who's here. First of all, who's in the room right now in person? And
if you're asking me that, we have a total of 3 voters here. Me, Julie, and a guest.
Okay. And you're all members, and that's it. Okay, very good.
Yes.
Then we will try this Zoom poll. I'm not the original person, but I will send out the credentialing attendance vote now. It's pretty straightforward. You'll have a choice to say, yes, you're a member, or no, you're not a member, and then there's a second person who's a member. You can say there's 2 members here. And then it goes pretty quickly. Once we've got that, then we have an attendance record, which is recorded by Zoom. It's one of the advantages of Zoom polling is you get a printed record of how the vote went. So any questions about the Zoom polling? Okay, I'm going to launch the poll. And you should be seeing on your screen a credentialing attendance with 6 choices.
Do you live in the neighborhood, sir? Do you live in the neighborhood? On which side?
Okay. Got some more bodies out there somewhere. Okay, I've got 10 out of 10 have answered, members on this login. I'm going to end the poll at this point. Anyone who has not voted yet wants to speak now or forever hold your peace.
Have you counted the phone people?
Count
Hey.
your, yes.
Will, I never saw the poll.
You never saw the poll?
Yep, it might be because I'm on my iPad. I don't know.
It should be there, but I'll record your vote, Carolyn. Are you
Yeah,
voting?
Dixon and I are yeses.
Yes, yeah, you're yes members. Two people?
Yeah, two
Okay,
people. We live in the village.
very good. Okay, and Beth, I know you're a member, so I'm ending the poll. I have 10 people or one member, actually one person with two members, and Edith and myself would count there as two members. So we have 12, 14, 16 people by my count. I'll end the poll and share the results. Okay. Anything further? We're going. Okie doke. We're done with that vote, and it seemed to work. So let's go further with the actual vote on the elections process. Any further comments before we bring that up? Okay.
Are you doing I'm sorry, Will, are you doing a poll for the yes, no of this motion?
Yes, that's the next thing.
Thank you.
Okay. So this will be a poll to adopt the election process for the 2023 elections. Here it goes. And this will be a yes, no, abstain, or not able to vote. First member and second member. You can vote separately. If there's three people on it, you have to worry about that.
I voted for 2 on the
And if you can't see the poll or you're on the phone or such, let me know and I'll record the vote.
Okay. Will, I voted twice, or not twice, but for 2 people to represent me and Julie Lee
Okay.
here in the audience. The other
Well, I think
gentleman
that-
to be a member
as-
next month.
As chair, I'm not sure you're eligible to vote.
Oh, darn it.
Okay. Okay,
take one of
Julie.
my-
Okay,
take
so
my
there's
vote
one
off.
person on in the room. Okay. And Carolyn, are you voting 2 yeses, or what's the story there?
I was able to find the poll after all. I don't know if you did something magic or what, but I
Oh,
voted.
you got it. You're on there. Okay, great.
Yep.
And Beth, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay.
They helped.
Moses, the person who's in the room is a member right now, according to the current bylaws.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Amanda, very much.
Ah.
I just got clarified. You're a member. So if you want to vote, you can vote yes or no. Would you like to? We have a vote yes from the newest member of the Multnomah Neighborhood Association.
Okay, great. So I have 2 votes then, Julie and that person.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, so we have 11 people have voted. I'm going to close the poll. Anybody want to vote? Okay, ending the poll and sharing the results. So we have first member is 11 single members plus 3 second people plus 2. Well, I see Carolyn said she could. There's 2 for myself and Edith, and 1 for Beth. 11 plus 3 is 15. 16 yeses. No one voted no, so it's unanimous.
Wow. I should have just done it by unanimous consent. Woohoo. Okay.
Right.
That is fantastic. We now have an election process. So I want to emphasize.
Thank you, committee, everybody on that committee.
Thanks, Beth. Now that the election process is adopted, we are officially accepting nominations for the board at this meeting. So if anyone wants to in the meeting would like to nominate themselves for one of the officer or board positions, would like to run, let us know. You can speak up, or you can wait until next month if you'd like to think about it, but the floor is open for those nominations. So thank you. And now we have an election process adopted, so we will run the meeting, our election based off of those laws, or not laws, but those guidelines, processes. Okay.
Can nominations be made in, between meetings?
Sure. Seems to me. I mean, just send me an email and I'll make sure that you're on, and I will also need to send out, or maybe we can post on the website. That's what I'll do. I'll post on the website names of people that nominate before next meeting as they nominate themselves, or I can post it on the website.
Now, the rules that were just passed said that the nominations have to be in by October 10th.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying that. I didn't have those in front of me.
And I would encourage everybody who's in the meeting tonight to consider running. I haven't checked with anybody to see if you're willing to serve on the board, but I mean, you're the people who are truly engaged, and I appreciate that you came to the meeting and hope you'll consider being part of the board of directors.
Patrick, I think she's talking to you, sir.
Was she looking over at me like on the Brady Bunch? Like,
Yep. That's funny.
The way I like to put that is that for anybody who is uncomfortable with the idea of losing their opportunity to vote, that's a reason to just join the board.
Yeah.
Everybody gets to keep their voice. All members can still speak up. But
sorry, Ted. I see Corinne's hand is up, and now, and I do want to also, before you say something, Corinne, please just mention that we have conducted all of our new business. So that section of our meeting is finished. It is 8:41 right now. And on the agenda, we have our agenda review for the next meeting. And that can be very easily stated that we have the motion for the bylaws that will be considered. We also have officer and board elections in October. And we also have a report from the work group, their what they have been doing. And then also we will have, well, that's a lot. All right, so I'll put those things on the agenda. And I'll make sure to send the agenda out much earlier. I do apologize about not being able to get the agenda out faster. It was kind of a moving part situation here this meeting, trying to get everything on it. We literally were sending around agendas 2 hours before the meeting to make sure that we had everything covered. Okay, final agendas, I should say. Okay, Corinne, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Moses. Thank you, everybody, for working hard on the bylaws and the new election process and bolstering up our organization. I just want to echo Amanda's thoughts on encouraging people to step up and to volunteer to be on the board or board of directors for the Multnomah Neighborhood Association. And to not wait to be asked to be on the board, but to step up and volunteer your position. That's how I showed up here, was to step up and say, hey, I'll do something and I'll figure out where I fit. And I've been thrilled to be part of this organization and to help build it up. And it has a long way to go. And there's a lot of good we can do in our community. We just need more people to show up and to let the neighborhood know that we're here. So I just don't wait to be asked to be on the board or one of the directors or committee chair. Show up and send an email and say, hey, I'll do something. Even if you don't know what you want to do, just put your name in the hat and we'll find something for people to do. There's a lot to be done. So thanks for starting that, Amanda. It made me think of like, yeah, you got to step up and put your name in. So thank you, everybody, for being here and participating in our neighborhood.
Corinne, I hope that's you putting your hand up too, and Pam and Will and Now, when you run for office at the city level, you don't wait for somebody else to nominate. You say, yes, I'm going to run. So please let Moses know you're interested. And I think we're going to have a great organization moving forward.
Yes. And Amanda, I hope you as well will step up and say, hey, my name's in. I'll do something. But yes, I would happily put my name in for election. Yes.
Ooh, we have our
I'm
first
happy to be part
one.
of the organization. So thank you everybody for all the hard work to bring our organization to where we are today. It was it's been on the road. So
What a great way to end this meeting. Yes, Beth, go ahead.
Put my hat in the ring to declare to run for vice chair again.
Yay. Okay, so darn it. Now that tells me if Beth is running for vice chair, I have to run for chair again.
You do, or else I'm going to have to take that back.
No, I'm in too. Julie
thank
just,
you, Beth. Thank you for getting that going.
yeah. And by the way, I just had Julie say that she will run for secretary again.
Great.
She says she wants a race. Oh, a raise. She wants a raise, not a race. She wants a raise.
Do you have your 15 candidates yet?
No kidding.
Nope.
Not close to it.
So if you're don't want to nominate yourself tonight, or do it tonight, we have next 30 days. It sounds like we have at least 3 out of the 4 board members, and I'm not done twisting Tad's arm yet. And Brunette's, pardon me. I'm gonna twist your arm. Okay. You know what? We have done all of our work here tonight, folks. Thank you.
Will, I had my hand up, but I'll.
Oh, pardon me, Will. Go for it. Go for it. Last thing of the night.
2 points. In the agenda for the October meeting, I would recommend that we leave some time for general discussion of the future of the association, just to start the ball rolling, which be open to anyone at the meeting, including general members. And second, I will put my hat in the ring for a board member as well.
Cool. We are on a roll here. I like this.
Now we need Tad. Is Tad not here in the meeting
I am
anymore?
here and I am available to return as treasurer.
Good, because I was going to.
Whole slate. The machine works.
Wow.
Stefan left before we could nominate him.
Stefan and Pam, I'm hoping to hear you guys chime in.
All right, let's stop putting pressure on everybody here. They're dropping off slowly but surely because of it. Okay, hey, anyhow, or maybe it's because we are finished. And I would, if someone wants to adjourn this meeting, please tell me. Can we adjourn this meeting? Do I hear a motion?
Hey, could I make one point? I think as part of the nomination process, we will be asking candidates to write up a brief statement of sort of their background, their relationship in the neighborhood, and why they would like to be members of the board. Am I correct?
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll do that, and we'll be getting that out to the general public as they come in too. And ultimately, we'll have on a website a list of all the folks' names that are running. That makes a lot of sense. If we were to do
Everybody that was interested in nominating themselves get a chance to do that. I was hoping
I think what we're going to need to do is we're definitely going to have to send out an email with a reference, maybe create some sort of a candidate book, a directory or something like that.
Voters manual.
Voters manual. That's what I was looking for. A voters pamphlet. Voters pamphlet. Yeah.
The last line of the elections process that we just approved reads, for the October meeting, nominees' statements will be added to this voting guide.
Voting guide.
Very good. Very good. We mandated it. And the elections committee did. Okay. Sounds good. Folks, it is 8:48. I thank you so much for spending your Tuesday evening with me tonight. We got a lot of good stuff done. We have one more really big meeting next month. It's going to be a real big meeting, and I'm going to try to make sure I'll get everybody the information that we need at least a week ahead of time. And yeah, wow, onward and upward. Thank you all.
Move to adjourn.
So moved.